The light novel publishing industry is finally catching up from COVID, and thanks to that, we've got 8 brand new series debuting this month. Hello everybody and welcome to my monthly look at what is new in light novels. I'm Justus R. Stone, and this channel is all about light novels. I do reviews, news, and of course this is the home of the Light Novel Podcast. So if you love light novels, or maybe you're just starting to get interested in them, make sure you hit that subscribe and notification bell so that you don't miss any of my future light novel content. As I said in this video, I'm going to be covering all the light novels that are making their debut during the month of July 2020. Yes, COVID-19 caused a lot of delays, so usually from yen on, we'd maybe get 1 or 2 new series. This month we get 4 brand new series from them. On top of all of that, of course, we have series from other companies like J-Novel Club, and even Viz is getting in on this with a light novel series based on a very popular manga and anime property. As always, if you want to check out all the light novels that are releasing in the month of July and even beyond that, make sure you head over to EnglishLightNovels.com, click on the pre-orders page. Got all the listing of everything that's coming out. Even have some listings all the way into next year. So if you want to sort of see what's out this month and what's coming out next month, make sure you go check that out. I'll have a link in the description down below. So starting the month off on July 2nd, and yes, I do apologize, I'm a couple days late on this one, but nonetheless, it is a digital advanced release, and this one from 7 Seas, and it is The Hidden Dungeon, Only I Can Enter. A fantasy light novel series about a new hero exploring a secret labyrinth. And don't miss the manga adaptation, also available from 7 Seas. I gotta stop reading their top little blurbs. All it ever does is sell the fact that they have the manga too. Noir is the son of a minor noble with very little to his name other than a job offer, which is cancelled before he can even start his first day. He does possess one rare trait though, the magical ability to consult with a great sage, even if using the skill gives him terrible headaches. Unsure of what his future holds, he accesses the sage for advice on how to move forward and is directed to a secret dungeon filled with rare beasts and magical items. It is here that Noir will train, compiling experience and wealth until he's powerful enough to change his fate. So yes, this is another one of those, we arrange a way for our main character to become incredibly OP and never to have any other worries, and then just have him traveling the world, making out with girls and killing monsters. That's I'm pretty sure that's basically what this series is. I mean, the first color image in the book has Noir nibbling on a girl's ear. At least that's what it looks like, or he's licking her ear. I'm not too sure. I should have maybe looked closer, but in any case, that kind of tells you a lot of what you need to know. I'm pretty sure this one's a harem, and of course it is a fantasy. At least it's not an isekai, another isekai OP kind of series, but I'm pretty sure if you've been reading a lot of fantasy light novels, you can pretty much figure out where this one's going right from the start. Next up on July 7th, first off we have the title from Viz. Now, of course, Viz, when they put out light novels, are almost always, not always, but almost always, based on one of the properties that they published the manga for. This one is no different. It is Bleach, Can't Fear Your Own World. The best-selling paranormal action-adventure manga series Bleach continues in novel form as an all-new threat arises. The Quincy's thousand-year blood war is over, but the embers of turmoil still smolder in the Soul Society. Tokinara Tsunayashiro, elevated to head of his clan after a slew of assassinations take out every other claimant to the title, has a grand plan to create a new Soul King. His dark ambitions soon sow the seeds of a new total war across the realms, but all is not lost. There is one unlikely Soul Reaper who holds the key to defusing the conflict. Shuhei Hisagi, assistant captain of the 9th Company and reporter for the Serete Bulletin. So this is actually a sequel to the Bleach series, and it's funny enough written by Ryogo Narita, who, if you're familiar with light novels that we have in English is also the author of Bakano and Du Ra Ra Ra. So could be a pretty interesting one, especially if you are a fan of the Bleach series. Definitely worth checking out if you are. Now, also on July 7th, this one coming to us from 7 Seas. Now, this one has already had a digital advance release, but I missed mentioning it when it did that. So I'm trying to make up for it now that it is finally getting its print release, and that is the novel I Had That Same Dream Again. A layered coming-of-age story from the author of I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, and at night I Become a Monster. So yes, people, get your Kleenex ready. An unhappy girl who engages in self-harm, a woman ostracized by society, and an old woman looking to live out her twilight years in peace. What could 3 such different people have in common? That's what grade schooler Koyanagi Nanako is trying to find out. Assigned by her teacher to define what happiness means to her, Nanoka sets out to get to know these 3 strangers, and through them, perhaps, to know herself too. So obviously, if you're familiar with this author's work, you know that this is going to be quite the character journey, a lot of self-realizations, and it'll probably just yank on your heartstrings at least a couple of times, if not for most of the book. On July 9th, this is a digital advance release from 7 Seas, and that is volume number 1 of Yes, No, or Maybe? The fan-favorite boys' love novel about the secret lives of men who work in television, which is also soon to be an anime. Kunieda Kei is the up-and-coming Prince Charming of the evening news. Inside, he's the opposite, brash, hot-tempered, and prickly as can be. For years, Kei has successfully juggled his private and professional personas, until a chance meeting with a stop-motion animator threatens to bring it all crashing down. But is that really as frightening as the possibility that someone might love and accept both sides of who he is? So yes, it's a boys' love novel, which I'm trying to think if we actually have had any officially boys' love novels released in English. I don't know that we have. This might be one of the first. Obviously, this one dealing with adult male characters, much more of a slice of life, which, you know, these sort of romance, comedy, drama type series typically are. So something quite different, but most definitely in line with what 7 Seas puts out in terms of their manga lines. On July 12th, from J-Novel Club, and surprising, this is the only J-Novel Club premiere this month. We almost always seem to have 2, 3, or 4, or crazy. Anyway, this one is A Wild Last Boss Appeared. The year is 2800, and Lufus Mafael, the black-winged tyrant, great conqueror, and leader of the 12 heavenly stars, has returned. A man wakes up in the body of his MMO character 200 years after her defeat during a player-made event in the game X-Gate Online. Now he's stuck in her body, but this isn't a game, it's real. With her reign long over and her legacy one of fear, Lufus must journey through the world of X-Gate, looking for answers, possible comrades, and all the monsters her death unleashed upon the world. So this one, obviously, the whole reincarnated into a VR MMO, you know, I lay odds he's probably ridiculously OP. I kind of like the idea that he's not a good guy, like he's not a hero character, and that it's now him having to pick up into this world and see sort of the outcome of his defeat and kind of fixing the world because of what that did. It's kind of a slightly different take on the whole, like, I was summoned, and A, I have no reason to be summoned, B, I have no idea why I was summoned, or C, I was summoned by God and to just do whatever. So yeah, it's a little different take. Now, that said, we do see this is a sort of common thing that's happening in VR MMO type light novels. We haven't had as many translated officially into English yet, but this whole idea of someone plays a game, they're powerful, they're strong, whatever happens, and then suddenly they awaken as their character and it's 200 years in the future. Kind of interesting that it adds a little gender bend aspect to it, though I don't really know how big a part that plays in it. Somebody was saying, I believe, that this one is a bit more of like a slow life exploration type light novel as opposed to a, really actiony, angsty type thing. Not too sure, but this one does sound kind of interested to me. I'll probably check this one out. On July 21st, we get 3 brand new series from Yen On. The first one is High School Prodigies, Have It Easy, Even in Another World. After crash landing in a foreign land filled with magic and monsters, most people would wonder what to do next. For 7 of Japan's greatest high school geniuses, the real question is, how much are they allowed to mess around? This world might not last long enough for these insane prodigies to go home. Now this one recently had an anime. I'm not too sure how many volumes of the light novel series the anime covered. I do know there seemed to be sort of a mixed opinion of the anime online. Again, kind of an interesting take. I don't know how well it executes it, obviously, but I am kind of curious about a series where it's like the people who have come from another world may not be what this world needs. In fact, they may just be a little too wrapped up in themselves to really help this world out. I'm kind of curious to see how this one plays out. Also on July 21st from Yen On, we have I'm a Behemoth, an S-ranked monster, but mistaken for a cat. I live as an elf girl's pet. After dying in a fight against the forces of evil, a knight found himself reincarnated as one of the most powerful monsters in the world, a behemoth. Problem is, he has to grow up before he can really strut his stuff, and a baby behemoth looks an awful lot like a house cat? And when an elf adventurer decides to take him in, she may need his help as much as he needs hers. So the one thing that I kind of like about this one is that it isn't like an isekai where he's reincarnated from our world or whatever. This is actually a valiant knight fantasy character who is then reincarnated, I believe somebody was saying, in his own world as this behemoth. So it's not kind of that fish out of water kind of, I have no idea what this world is about, blah, blah, blah. And that his sense of duty and honor and wanting to, feeling like he needs to serve somebody and serve a worthy master kind of plays into the whole element of it. Although what's maybe most interesting about this book is that it's one of the first times, if you take a look at the cover, it's one of the first times I've actually seen a parental warning put on the front cover of a light novel. I don't know what that's all about. I don't think this is an H title. In fact, I'm pretty positive it's not. But how ishy does this title have to be to actually warrant a warning label on the front cover? All of us are kind of sitting there now going, well, expect to see that on the cover of High School DD, that's for sure. You know what? Like, I don't know. I mean, I read Woof Woof's story, the first volume of that. It wasn't bad, actually. So I might check this one out. Yeah, the whole warning label thing just has me really curious. Like, we've never had that before. So is it because of what's written, or is it because of the artwork? I'm not too sure. If anybody knows, hey, feel free to throw you that in the comments down below. Finally, on July 21st from Yen On, we have May These Leaden Battlegrounds Leave No Trace. For 100 years, East and West have waged a ferocious war with everything from tanks to witchcraft. On this savage battlefield, one young soldier from the East learns of the daemon's bullet, and that anyone struck by it will disappear from the world as if they had never existed. Now, when this was licensed, this was kind of a title we talked a bit about on the Light Novel podcast, because we were saying Consider that you have this war that seems like it's never going to end. It's a horrible war. And now you're given a tool to erase someone's existence. What do you do? Who do you erase? Will you make things better? What happens if you erase the wrong person and things get worse? That whole like butterfly effect. This could be a really fascinating book, or it could be total utter trash. I'm not too sure, but I'm kind of fingers crossing that it is actually one of the more decent titles and that it kind of explores and plays with this whole concept because it's kind of cool, honestly. Like I'm like I said, I'm hopeful and curious to see what this one is like. Finally, on July 28th, and this is also from Yanon, and man, it was initially supposed to see. I'm like stuttering because it's like this book has been delayed so many times. I can hardly believe that we're actually going to be able to get it into our hands. And what's funny is that it finally got pushed to July 21st, and we were like, okay, that's it, we're good, it's gonna happen. And then just like a week ago, it bumped back to July 28th again. So I'll believe it when I see it, but fingers crossed, because this is one that I've really been looking forward to. So the title in question is The Eminence in Shadow. One big fat lie and a few twisted truths. Even in his past life, Sid's dream wasn't to become a protagonist or a final boss. He'd rather lie low as a minor character until it's prime time to reveal he's a mastermind. Or at least, do the next best thing, pretend to be one. And now that he's been reborn into another world, he's ready to set the perfect conditions to live out his dreams to the fullest. Armed with his overactive imagination, Sid jokingly recruits members to his organization and makes up a whole backstory about an evil cult that they need to take down. Well, as luck would have it, these imaginary adversaries turn out to be the real deal, and everyone knows the truth but him. Now, this one I thought sounded good right from the get-go, but a couple of guys on the podcast, I believe actually it was Kyle that was talking about this one, was saying it is absolutely hysterical, that it's a very, very funny series filled with those like misunderstandings and the character thinking he's being like this complete, like he's just a total utter chuny, and that he throws out these cryptic things like to the east in the mountains, blah, blah, blah. And he just ends up being right. And so everybody thinks that he's brilliant. He said, in a way, it's kind of like, in Overlord. Now, I mean, Overlord, I think, is a little more serious than this one. But you know how in Overlord, like, something will happen and everybody assumes that Ainz has planned like 15 steps into the future and that's why things are happening the way they are. And they're all like, oh my God, And Ainz is kind of like, oof, that, I'll just play it off like, yes, that's how I meant for it to go. It's kind of like that, except the whole book is like that, and it's much funnier. So I'm really looking forward to this one, and I have been for a long time. Like I said, this thing I think was supposed to be out like November of 2019, and it has just been progressively bumped back a month or so at a time until COVID hit, and then it got like a 2 or 3 month punt over into July. And like I said, just within the past week or so, we had yet another week delay. But hopefully this time, just because it was a week, means that it's actually going to happen. In this video, I'd like to say a special thanks to Renzos, Kyle Block, Drone205, and Vixlab.com for their support on Patreon, as well as the support of all of my patrons that allow me to do a whole bunch of different projects here online. This light novel channel, the light novel podcast, EnglishLightNovels.com, and also a project that we are currently working on that I'm going to do a video and have more to say about, which is the light novel database. Yes, the old light novel database kind of disappeared, went by the wayside, and myself and a group of volunteers have come together, and we're trying to make a new one, a better one. He can be rebuilt, and we can make him better. So that's the goal, and your Patreon dollars help support that. So thank you all very much. So those are all the new series that are making their debut during the month of July 2020. What are you looking forward to? Which ones have got you excited? Which ones did you maybe not know about and now you're kind of like, I need to read that? Let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I look forward to seeing you in my next ones. Till then, bye-bye for now.